Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to Revelations with Rowena. I'm Dr. Rowena Winkler, and I am so excited to have a wonderful guest with us today, Yvonne Dam. I remember when we chatted about, whether this would be a good fit or would be aligned for this conversation. I mean, just your story alone, I was like, yes, 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 this is something that definitely resonates with me and resonates with my community. So thank you so, so much for being here today.
No, my absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So, as I mentioned, we usually start things off by just getting a sense of who you are, where you came from, and what brought you to the amazing work that you're doing today.
Sure. So let me share my story. I started my career as an international tax lawyer and with one of the top three global audit firms. And I learned three things there. Time is money, be very effective, and don't waste time. So I got extremely good at that, so good that I climbed the corporate ladder and I held several leadership positions in finance, HR, a lot in consulting, sales, business development, and I ended in change management. I did extremely well according to the outside world, but I kind of forgot about myself and I burned out severely.
Mm.
Now, for the story, it would be great if I could tell you, and that was the magic moment and everything changed after that. In reality, of course, something changed because I made myself more of a priority, but I kept working a lot. And
Mhm.
I always wanted to do more. So I got great at time management, productivity hacks, all the things. But
Mhm.
what I only realized once I started my own business in coaching, which I have been dreaming of, for my entire life. And then I was there and I woke up one morning and I was dreading to get to work. And I was like, okay, something is off. And
Mm.
I discovered that, you can have all the best productivity hacks. You can do a whole lot in less time. But if you're not changing the hours you work, all you do is you work a whole lot more.
Mm.
And I decided then and there, I'm done with that. I started my business for more freedom. I've got a little girl. I want to spend more time with her. And I don't want to think about work when I'm not working because I'm still working then. And that was truly the beginning of a new, yeah, almost a new way of life where I now fully enjoy what I have. I enjoy my work and I love nothing better than to help my clients who somehow experience the same.
Mm. What an amazing story. And I appreciate especially that you said that, listen, I didn't have this breakthrough epiphany and immediately things changed. I love the realism that you bring into that point, that sometimes it's going to take some time to figure out. I know in my own experience that was the same, right? That you get these nudges and these experiences, which like, you're not, what are you doing? And due to conditioning or fear or whatever the reasons are, we're like, no, 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 I'm good. I'm good. When that isn't necessarily the case. So I really appreciate that because I feel like for a lot of us, we see you now so vibrant and happy and whatnot. So thank you for being so transparent in that part of the journey.
Sure. Yeah. I think it's one of the misconceptions. People often ask, what was the moment that you saw the light? And I don't know, maybe I'm maybe I'm blinded, but it took me a lot of nudges before I finally switched it. And the thing is, so also we are so conditioned, whether it's culturally or from your upbringing or what have you, what happens on social media, we are so always told, especially as women, right, to
Mm.
put others first, to really make an effort, to be kind all the time, to put the extra mile in, to look after everyone else. That it's so common for us to work hard and to kind of forget ourselves.
Yes.
That it took me a long, long time. And I must be honest, sometimes still I have to struggle because my default modus is, okay, let's do it,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
whereas it's really not necessary all the time.
I know that is so true. And I know for me and a lot of the clients I serve who are moms, oh gosh, you're just, yeah, you're in that caretaker mode, that mommy mode. You pour yourself into so many other people. And for what? For us to be burnt out and overwhelmed. Do you have any tips in terms of dealing with that default that you mentioned? Like, how can we snap ourselves out of it and be like, "Well, wait, what do you use personally, or what do you provide to your clients that may be helpful?"
So I think it's a good thing to, first of all, start noticing it,
Mm,
right? And we all have different ways. So, for example, when I'm really stressed and I feel that I have to do a lot, I start to make these hideous lists that I think then, okay, I'm taking it out of my head and putting it on paper, and all it does, it's making me stress out more because all of a sudden
mm,
I see everything I need to do, and then I feel I have to do it right now. And before I know it, I'm thinking about something I have to do next month, and I feel it's urgent now. That's your brain goes like, oh, oh, oh.
yes.
So if that's the case, basically what I do is I toss the list. Honestly, I toss the list. And if you're not comfortable with that, just put it somewhere where it's out of sight. I like to do something that isn't work if my brain allows it. I must be honest, because what works best is if I go quickly out in nature and I recharge and I
Mm,
feel better. But in all fairness, we not always have the time or the bandwidth to go out in nature. But it's important to really take a deep breath, know, give
yeah.
yourself some space. What really helps is kind of, stroke your arms, feel that you're in the here and now, come back to it.
Mhm.
And if you do this, you already feel calmer, right? You already feel like, hey, this is actually okay. And then maybe make yourself a cup of tea or something to drink, sit down, and then ask yourself, okay, what's the number one thing? Just one. What do I have to do right now? What's the most urgent right now? Okay,
Mm,
I can do that. Yes. Everything else, because then, they go all like, nope, not worrying about it, just one thing. And you go on with that one thing and you allow yourself just to focus on that one thing. And
mm,
then when you feel like, okay, let's go to the next. But what you do is you bring your focus back to the most important. And once you've done that, you already feel more accomplished. You feel like, hey, I can do this. And then you move on.
I gotta say, Yvonne, when you said throw out the list, I had I had some anxiety about it. I was like, wait, what?
I
Throw out
know.
the list, not the list.
I know it's not. And that's why I'm saying it's not for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Because some people really can't part with the list. That's also fine. But I find that when it's such a tremendous list with all these tasks that you need to do,
Yeah.
it normally doesn't really help. And
Yeah.
that's why I always start my day asking myself before I actually switch on my computer, I'm just going through it and I go like, what are the most impactful actions for today? The three.
Hmm.
Now, and don't make the mistake that you're thinking it's just about work or things I have to do, because an impactful thing can also be for you, for example, to call your friends, to go for a walk, to work out. It can be very impactful if that's what you need the most. And,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and here is where overwhelm also kind of starts coming alive when we only focus on the to-dos and not so much on ourselves, on our health, on our well-being, on our family. When actually, when I would ask you what's your priority, you most likely going to tell me, well, that's my family, right? We chatted about your daughter already. That's my top priority. Okay, so why in your priority list for the day you didn't include it?
Mm.
It's just a different way of thinking. um, but if you broaden your horizon and include actually all your priorities, it's so much easier to focus on what truly matters.
Ooh. Okay. Dr. Rowena loves a good reframe. I love impactful, that it's not just business focused, professionally tied things or anything to do with that, that it can include spending time with family, self-care. I'm telling you, I'm gonna keep, I like this. I like this self-hug thing. It's just very, yeah, it's very comforting. It's walking in nature, as you mentioned, as one of your tips. That's really, really amazing advice, to be able to, as you mentioned, broaden the scope of what impactful means. Okay, all right. I think I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna throw out the list as much as it gives me anxiety and focus on the one thing. And I love that question you asked even before, because you're right. So many of us were quick to like get our phone or get on our computer as soon as we wake up. Do you have a full out morning routine or a morning practice? Or is there, yeah. What does
I
that look
do.
like for you?
Yeah, I must be honest, and I don't want to disappoint any persons, but I'm not into the 6 a.m. morning awake. I tried.
Me neither. It's all good.
If people do it, I really admire them. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, read the Magic Morning.
Mhm.
It's an amazing book. It has amazing tips. What I personally like is some time for myself. And
Mm.
I've got a daughter, I've got a husband, I've got a dog. So they all need attention in the morning, right? And I've got myself as well and a business. So I've been playing with it. And I must say, periods this works and other periods something else works. But what really works well for me is to go out in nature and I go for a run. Why a run and not a walk? Well, basically because I think walking is very slow and then I get impatient. And a run, I at least have the illusion that I do something, that kind of helps me with the sugars.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't make it too long. So I never go longer than 30 minutes because
Okay.
otherwise it takes too much out of my schedule. It's
Mhm.
very short, but it helps me so much because I get more clear. I feel better.
Mhm.
I feel more awake. I look better as well because, it gets your heart pumping.
Yeah.
Then I hop in the shower, and I always start, take a little note, write down my three most impactful actions, and then I start my day. And sometimes I also meditate, but I don't do it every morning. But not
Mhm.
every morning I feel like it. So I
Oh.
do more what works for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's great advice, to do what works for you. And I love that it's physical, right? It's active, as you mentioned, it gets the blood pumping. And so you have the three things. That's the you have each day with three. Okay.
Yeah.
Magic three. And then how do you go about, and how do you talk to your clients about setting boundaries, right? So let's say, for instance, your kids need you in the morning, but you're trying to find time to get that 30-minute run in, or you have clients, that you're working with throughout the day. But as you know, we need these moments, this time to ourselves, to avoid that burnout place that we've both been in. How do, like, what are the conversations we can have? How do we protect our time, our space, and our energy?
So with boundaries, it's quite important to realize that you set boundaries up front, not when it's
Mm,
like, oh, I don't have time. Okay.
yeah.
So if right now your routine and your family's routine is that everybody needs you in the morning, you need to start changing things in a good way. So have a good conversation, not when you're stressed out and you feel
Mm,
like snapping, because that's not going to work. It
yeah.
just doesn't. I also, you have to be honest. My girl is 11 now,
Mhm.
so she can do more by herself. But
Yeah.
we had to have a conversation about it. We had to, get through the motions. It didn't work every
Mhm.
morning. When she was more little, I actually would put my alarm earlier before anybody in the house was awake so that I had some time just for me. Maybe that wasn't a run, but sometimes it was a journaling, sometimes it was reading, but that carved out me time moment in the beginning of the day helps me a lot. So if you have very small children, see what you can make happen.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up if you can't go for a workout. Really, that's, I'm very much in favor of do what you can do, what works.
Mhm. Mhm.
But don't forget, especially when you have someone next to you, a partner, you don't have to do everything by yourself.
Oh,
You can always ask them to help you. And again, it doesn't have to be a big thing. And sometimes you plan up front, like make lunches the day before.
mhm. Mhm.
It's really a matter of planning. And that's also the same with your clients. When
Mm.
you have a tendency, for example, a lot of us have this, and you work through lunch. If you're lucky, you're grabbing lunch, but otherwise, you just work through because you're so busy and you forget about it. Well, I think it's very important to realize that if you do not take care of you, because you are there to serve your clients or do your work in the office,
Mhm.
you're actually cutting them short. Because if you are not 100% charged, if you're not 100% feeding yourself
Mm.
healthy, if you're not looking after yourself, you're not 100% there. Maybe you're 80%, and then you had a rough night. So maybe you're 70%, maybe you're 60%. So they're not getting the best of you. So if
Mm.
you don't want to do it in favor of yourself, do it in favor of your clients. And it's very easy. All you have to do is block off half an hour in your calendar
Yeah.
so people can't put in an appointment there, and take the
Mhm.
time. Do whatever you want to do, but block it out and take it.
Wow, I feel like, well, again, Yvonne coming in with a beautiful reframe of, yeah, this actually is going to benefit your clients if you are in a better place energetically and you're fed and you have more to offer them instead of feeling like you have to hustle and muscle through and work through lunch. Yeah, we've all been there before, but I appreciate you mentioning that, no, this actually, it may seem on the surface that working more hours is going to benefit your business and your clients, but actually taking those breaks. And I've heard that before and I need to do it. Blocking out blocking out time on the calendar so it is there.
Yes.
Not just for lunch, maybe even, for the walk in the
Yes.
morning or in the evening too. So
Yeah.
I love those tips. What about, okay, so tied to all of that, and as I mentioned, we have moms that are, the struggle is real for, hello, for young children. What about dealing with the guilt? Do you have any thoughts on that, right? Because we want to do these things, but it's like, oh, they need me. And I just felt super called out when you mentioned that I could lean in on my partner, my husband. Yeah, he's there too. Why do we feel like we have to do everything and then feel so guilty about it?
So I always have to smile when we talk about guilt, and I think it comes with children. I once it's years ago. I was working, and I had a friend, and she wasn't working. She was a stay-at-home mom,
Mhm.
and my daughter was in school. I think she was 4 or 5, so really young. And she had a friend, and that was the child of my friend.
Mhm.
So she calls me and she's like, Noah wants to talk to you. So I already go like, oh my word, something is wrong. My child wants me and I'm working. What's happening? So, guilt, 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 guilt. Why is my friend there? Why am I not there? And, I'm chatting with her. Nothing is happening at all. Just a good talk. So I speak later to my friend and I tell her, I felt so incredibly bad that you called me while I was working. I felt so guilty for working and you being with my kid. And she said something very wise. She said, the moment you become a mom, the guilt is born. It doesn't really matter what you do. Whether you're a working mom, you feel like you don't spend enough time with them because you're working. If you aren't working, you feel guilty because you're not 100% always focused on them. You also have like your household, what have you, you're always something else doing. So you still feel guilty. If you're working part-time, you feel guilty. No matter what, you always feel guilty. So just remember, it doesn't matter what you do, you will feel guilty. So just do your thing, accept it's part of being a mom, and do what works best.
Yeah.
And I thought about it and I thought, she's right, she's so right. And since then, I also realized, and it's funny because I have a very smart cookie daughter. When I'm tired or when I'm not there, especially when you're tired and they feel it, right? They go
Oh, yeah.
on your nerve when you're tired.
They
So
know.
now I know that if I'm tired, I snap earlier. So
Mhm.
instead of that, I take a break and I will tell her, I'm feeling tired, so I'm sorry, but I'm gonna, leave me alone for a bit, do your thing, and then I'm back. She knows and she understands because she also have experienced it while I'm not taking the break and
Right.
I'm not the mom I want to be because I'm snappy. It's the same. If you want to serve your kids, look after yourself because otherwise you're that mom you don't want to be.
Yeah, that is so true, to be more proactive and just be honest. You're right. That these kids know. They and my daughter is a sensitive Pisces. So I feel like she already knows
Yeah,
when
yeah.
mom's not in a good place. Just a couple of weeks ago, she was pushing some buttons or something. I don't remember what she was doing, and I got frustrated and she's like, "Are you okay, mommy?" And I'm like, "No, no, I'm not okay." And she's like, "What?" So that's a really I like that advice, or I guess that phrase of wisdom, that nugget, that the guilt is just a part the nature of the job. And so we do the best that we can, which appears to be the running theme over and over again, is just we're doing the best that we can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are there other ways, for the working solopreneur, entrepreneur mamas out there, what are other ways that we can role model for our children this other way that is difficult? Because as we've talked about, we're conditioned to do this other way of life. Are there other ways that, in your experience, that you role model for your daughter?
Yeah, what I really like is that, well, there's a couple of things that I really like of
Mhm.
being an entrepreneur and being a mom. Is first of all that she sees that there's a woman running her own business. I really like that. And I know she loves it as well. So
Mhm.
I wrote this book and then there's this conversation she had and I just thought, oh, I love you, just because you're so young still. But so her friend said, so my grandpa is really famous, and my little girl says, well, my mom's really famous as well because she has her own company and she wrote a book. And I thought, oh, thank you so much.
Wow.
But for me, that's just underlining that, having a career on your own is already giving an example to your children that you as a
Mhm.
woman, especially for other girls, also can achieve something. And to me, you become, but that's everybody's definition of success. But my definition of success is when I'm not always working, but I'm always that fun mom to be around as well. And there are times when I'm working and she can't disturb me, but there are also times when she can just walk in, she can, we can have a chat. And there's times when I don't work, I actually, afternoons are for her. I carve out time.
Hmm.
And I think that if we live a life that they, like, that's one of the biggest examples we can set for them, showing them that we can be the loving mom, also do what we want to do, and do it all together because it works. If you do it right, it works.
Yeah, I know the memories of my childhood were spending time, just having time together as a family. And the fact that you're able to spend that time with your daughter and also role model for her that, yeah, you own a business and that you're famous with your book. That's so sweet. And that's just so affirming, isn't it? So
Yeah,
protective of her.
I have to laugh. It's like, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm not going to burst your bubble, but thanks.
That's amazing. So can you talk more specifically about the programs, or what do you offer the clients that you work with?
Yeah. So I work with clients either one on one or in a very small group,
Mhm.
and it's really what I do with most of them is that they go to the next step. So if you're an entrepreneur and you want to bring your business to the next level of success, but you don't want to work day and night, that's what I typically do. I have a amazing framework that works, like a charm for all my clients. I see them gaining more time, gaining more income. And I also work with non-entrepreneurs who really want more out of their life,
Mm.
whether it is because they are in their, career and they just juggle everything and they're done with juggling, or whether it's a mom that just wants to broaden her horizon. I
Yeah.
work basically, the themes are always the same. It's all about making yourself more of a priority,
Mm.
no longer struggling with the time, letting go of the guilt, and all that, but all geared towards growth. I love helping people to grow.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, you had some wonderful things that have helped me grow and just ponder what I'm doing personally and professionally. And I think it's just a wonderful way for us to tap in, because I know for me as an entrepreneur, I think I guess I suppose I didn't realize how much of that inner work was going to become a part of it, right? That it was tapping into, what who am I, and what are some of these limiting beliefs around worthiness and time and energy and all of that stuff. So it's beautiful that you bring this offering in a way that also is productive through the framework that you've developed. I'm here for it. I'm all for mindset and also some practical, tangible action steps. That's lovely.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a very firm believer of both. It has to be practical, but it's not just practical because that's not getting us there. It's really also your mindset and, like you say, how you feel about yourself. Because if you feel very worthy, if you feel very valuable, it's very easy to set boundaries. It's more easy to say no and claim time for you.
True, 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 true. Well, this has been such a lovely conversation. Where can folks find you? We'll be sure to put all of that information in the show notes, but just to share right here right now, let us know where people can find you and work with you.
Sure. So the easiest is to go to my website, which is Amaze Yourself, and there's a dash between amazeandyourself.com.
Mhm.
And I also, everybody who's listening, if you struggle with something, if you want to have a quick chat, you can book a 30-minute free chat, just to talk some things through. And I guarantee you get at least time out of it, if not more. But yeah, so look me up. I'm also very active on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And you can find me under Amaze Yourself Coaching or my name, Yvonne Dam.
Wonderful, Yvonne. Thank you so much. I'll be sure to add all of those links to the show notes. And y'all, you better get on that 30-minute call, because again, we've spoken for, about 29, 30 minutes, and just the gems and the wisdom and the personal anecdotes that you've shared today that then lead to all of these wonderful breakthroughs and insights for yourself that you then lend to the work with your clients. It's just been amazing and an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Alrighty, folks. So again, I will drop all of those links in the show notes. Be sure to check Yvonne out, set up that 30-minute call so that you can learn how to, bring more time into your life, energy into your life, not get burnt out. Let's not get stressed out. Let's break free from all of those that conditioning of us having to work, work, work all the time, and how we can deal with the guilt as well. So, because this was a special episode, we usually do these on Tuesdays. But because I was just chatting before this, I had been sick a little bit when we originally had this. We do actually have another episode this Thursday. I'll be chatting with Christy Simmons, a transformational life coach, who will talk about how her journey from the depths of anger and despair led her to choosing happiness and being the poster girl for genuine happiness. So it's going to be a very happy, vibrant time as it was here today with Yvonne. And until then, I hope you all take care. Have a great rest of the week, and we will see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye.